This hectare is Tromsø, which is the largest town in northern Norway, and I've just spent the night in this very expensive hotel, and you know, dear boy, they refuse to sell me spirits on a Sunday. I could drink beer or wine, but not whiskey. They really have strange licensing laws around here, so I'm beating a hasty retreat in this old polar vessel. It's supposed to be summertime here, but the temperature is at 6 degrees Celsius and a biting wind, and I'm seriously in need of a spiritual uplift. So I'm heading for the northernmost part of Norway, Kirkenes. The salmon season is in full swing, and I'm going up the river to get some for myself. The Sami community have fished the river for centuries, and until recently have had free rights to the salmon. Now, the stringent rules governing the netting of fish has led to bitter feuds between the Sami and the local government. The river is carefully policed, and the Sami fishermen are only allowed to cast their net once every 2 hours, and for one throw only. If they catch nothing, they cannot be cast. The waterfall is a good hunting ground. The salmon have travelled thousands of miles from the Bering Sea, and the fish rest in the calm pools of water, gathering their strength, ready to leap the final hurdle to the spawning grounds. These 4 beauties have made their last journey and will produce one of the freshest dishes I've ever cooked, from river to tummy in 20 minutes. Obviously, today is all about salmon. So I'm going to cook a smashing fillet of fresh salmon straight from the river behind me, which, incidentally, that waterfall in January, February, March and April is absolutely frozen solid, not a trickle through it. Okay, fish goes onto there. Now, while that cooks away for a little while, I'm going to make a sauce to go on the fish, which in this pot here, Vlad, I've got chopped mint, chopped parsley and chopped dill. Now we put in some chopped tomato, then some garlic, quite a lot of garlic, and then some chopped onion. Mix that round, add in some olive oil, a little drop of lemon juice, like so, and a pinch of salt and a grind of pepper. Now that's a terribly simple sauce for the salmon, and you can put that sauce on any grilled fish of any kind, from herrings to cod to salmon to bass to bream to trout, anything you like. So that's our first dressing done. See how the salmon's getting on. That's doing splendidly. While that's cooking away, we're going to add some prunes onto the plancha, just some dried prunes. They're not soaked. We'll add some apricots, dried, not soaked, and some pine nuts. A little drop of olive oil over those. They become nicely toasted. Only takes a second. I've already pre-cooked my rice. So we'll now put all of this into the rice. Toasted pine nuts, toasted apricots, and toasted prunes, all in seconds on the plancha. Stir those in together, and then we've got some excellent rice. This is a sort of a North African dish, quite good fun up here in the north of Norway. So that's okay there, that can stay warm. Our fish is virtually cooked. It only takes a few seconds on each side. So we'll place that there like that. Then my potatoes. Nicely turned little potatoes to go down there. A little bit of rice at the other end. Then a final sauce for our potatoes is mayonnaise, gherkins, and chopped capers mixed together. They go onto the potatoes. like so. This excellent sauce goes onto the salmon. And that is absolutely it. And I think for a quick little snack on the riverbank with a plancha and a gas ring, you can create a gourmet's delight. So I'll drink to that.
Seaplanes come in very handy, nipping over mountains and landing and taking off in convenient fjords and lakes. There are no rush hour problems. In fact, my chum flies this one to his office every day.
No problem. Great stuff.
But I'm not heading for the office, but to the western coast of Norway, where you find the really spectacular fjords. Not many people would let you drive their brand new speedboat, but my hosts seem completely at ease, considering they've just bought it for several million kroner. This is Sogne Fjord, which runs 200 kilometres inland, and we are heading towards Lars and Leila's goat farm at the far end. As usual on a Floyd shoot, the weather is closing in, but it's still a spectacular spot, with the steep green hills tumbling into the calm waters of the blue sea. 4 generations of the Findon family live here, and they make a living from goat farming and taking in tourists who want to get away from it all. The herd is kept for milking and making sweet brown goat's cheese, but Lars has slaughtered one for me so that I can make supper for the family. In these remote communities, where you even take the kids to school by boat every day, you don't have the luxury of going to Sainsbury's for your Sunday joint. So, the reality is, you get one of the goats, you slaughter it, you butcher it, and you roast it. Scott, if you can get off this sorted out for me, I want a couple of legs off of that, and I'll see you up on the mountaintop. Good. Goat is on the menu today. Goats are here. Goats are up in the mountains. The sea is there. And once again, sadly, there's no sun. But I can assure you when the sun does shine, it's exquisitely beautiful. Anyway, this is meant to be a bit of a cookery programme as well as a goat farming programme, so I suppose we ought to do a bit of that. Cast in order of appearance today, Vlad, is down here onions, garlic, ginger, coriander, cinnamon, these green things which I've forgotten for the moment, cumin, chilies, lovely saffron-infused goat's milk, eggs, pineapple, saffron-flavoured goat's yoghurt, goat itself, another piece of goat, coriander, tomatoes with basil, and of course rice. Now, we're in this very, very remote, self-sufficient community. The lady farmer here takes the kids to school every day, an hour and a half by boat down the fjord. She can't go to Sainsbury's, that's why they breed goats, and they're very self-sufficient, so much so that they make this rather dubious beer from gallons and gallons of water, barley and sugar, and they pour it into these Viking cups, and I suppose they sit and watch the sunset at night. Yes, they probably do. They see several sunsets, I would think, after they've had a few of these. It's extremely nice, very thirst-quenching. Right, onions we just sweat away in here. We don't want to brown them, just soften them. Then we put in a little ginger, or quite a lot of ginger, because I like spicy food, and this is going to be spicy. Then we put in some garlic. Now, back up to me, please, Vlad, for a second. The thing which distinguishes Indian-style spices from, say, Malaysian or Thai or Vietnamese is that they use dried spices. So when the cardamom seeds go in, which are the next thing, you toast them for a little bit. It helps to release their flavour. Similarly, with the dried coriander and cinnamon stick, that too needs to be just toasted slightly in the oil to release the flavours, turn the heat down a little. Then we put in some cumin seeds, again for the same reason. Fry them a little bit first, toast them a little bit first to release the flavours. Now once these have softened and their flavours have come out, we put in some rice. This is basmati rice, which I've washed and washed and washed and washed and rinsed and rinsed and rinsed, and it is now nice and dry again, so all the starch is out of it. But again, we need to stir fry that for a while in the oil to get the flavour right away At this stage, we'll add a little bit of salt. I tell you what, this Viking stuff is damn good news. I have another slurp of that. The pecan Darien is over there somewhere. Vikings probably hiding behind the hills, waiting to pounce. They're not having any of this because it's mine. Right, then we'll put some chilies in. Then we'll add a little bit of, in this case, orange blossom water. You can use rose water, kind of stuff you can get from Asian shops or, of course, from the chemist. It gives it a very slightly fruity, fragrant flavour at the end of the day. Pop in a couple of bay leaves. Then I've steeped some saffron in warm goat's milk. This will flavour subtly the rice and also colour it beautifully. We put that in. Then we put in a little bit of cream, like so. Then I've here some hot water or some warm water because it speeds up the cooking process, just water. And then, with my trusty pasteurised, sterilised dustbin lid, we put that on and let that simmer without lifting the lid away again on a low heat for about 15 to 20 minutes until all the wonderful flavours have been absorbed into the rice. The rice is fluffy and light. Now to grill the kebabs, which I've marinated in olive oil and lemon juice, and in between each one I've put a little piece of fat, and in a second or two they will start to sizzle happily away. Yoghurt with saffron goes over the kebabs. Just to remind you, to get the saffron to infuse, I boiled just a half a cup of milk, steeped the saffron in that, and when the milk was cold with the saffron, then I'd mix the two together. So that's that little bit, and a little bit of coriander goes onto there. Very Greek sort of dish. This is all ready. If you can bring me my nuts, please, Scott. First, I'll tip in my bits of crystallised pineapple. Then my nuts, thanks very much. Now, help. These are just cashew nuts, almonds, and currants sautéed in butter, okay? And we tip some of those in and stir them in. Then we finally garnish the dish with some tomato. It's been drenched in olive oil and basil. A little bit of salt as well went onto the tomatoes. And a couple of bits of hard-boiled egg. Then we finish the whole lot off with a few leaves of coriander. And to serve the dish, of course, a great dollop of that and one of these wonderful kebabs on top. And for me, who's a very happy chap today in this wonderful mountain greenery, another little glass or loving cup of Viking beer. At last the sun appears, revealing the panoramic beauty of the fjord. Before the First World War, Kaiser Wilhelm II had a serious crush on Norwegian fjords and would take his holidays at this spectacular wooden hotel. He would arrive with a full symphony orchestra, listen to Mozart and walk around the beautiful scenery. Nice work if you can get it, it's a bit like my job. And as they say, on a clear day, you can see for miles. This must be one of the most spectacular areas in the whole of Europe. And of course, because Floyd has come here, the cloud has drifted in, the sun has gone away, and the rain is tipping down. But it doesn't matter, because Norway has other fine things apart from scenery. It has the most spectacularly good fresh cod and superb, what they call Norwegian lobsters, what I call very, very big fat langoustines or Dublin Bay prawns. They have these splendid things. So, I'm going to start. I've also got a very weird machine here, which someone's very kindly lent me. They tell me it roasts, it barbecues, and it smokes. I don't know, I've never used it before, but I'm going to try to bake a very simple dish of cod and leeks and a cream sauce in that. Then I'm going to cook some langoustines, and if all else fails, I'm going to return to my ever-faithful and trusty plancha. So, first of all, some fillets of cod into my baking dish with a load of chopped leeks all around it. This is so simple, but it's such a delicious thing. A load of very thinly sliced potatoes, little bits of leaf spinach, okay, a few more potatoes, a few more leeks, like that, a little bit of salt around the place, a little bit of pepper, a few more leeks, then some bechamel, which is just a little bit of fish stock, milk, flour and butter cooked together, poured over all of that. We've got some wonderful Norwegian cheese to sprinkle over the top of that. And then I feel like one of those magnificent men in their frying machines. We put it into here and pray. Now, believe it or not, that's meant to be hot enough to cook that, but we shall see. That is the machine. Right, we'll pop a few of these in here. Like that. Then we'll add in a few chopped onions. Now these are twitching, and I'm sorry, the reason they're twitching, back up to me please, Vlad. The reason they're twitching is because they're live. Now that might be offensive to some people, but those who really enjoy shellfish, it must be cooked live because that's the freshest way you can have it. Sorry if it's offensive, but that's gastronomically correct. Then we'll put in some garlic, coarsely chopped garlic. We'll turn all of these around. Right, that's quite good now. Then we're going to crunch in some hot little chilies in here. That, to make it a bit spicy. Then, because I like doing this, we're going to flame it in aquavit. Now, in some countries they might use brandy, but here in Norway, aquavit is the business, I can assure you. A little bit of salt at this stage, a little bit of pepper, and then some freshly prepared fresh tomato sauce. That's one little thing I found. Scott, could you bring my dustbin lid, please? I need to cover these for a few moments so they can not only simmer in the wonderfully fresh tomato sauce, but they can also steam in their own flavours and juices. A little bit of parsley, coriander, aubergines, leeks and courgettes lightly grilled with salt and pepper. Tomatoes stuffed with garlic, parsley, olive oil and little pieces of anchovy. Next go on. Just a bit there. My langoustines look delicious and are bubbling nicely. One magnificent fillet of cod. And in here, I have to say, is a completely failed, and I'll show you the failure, because the oven wasn't hot enough, and there's only one place for that, and that's into the bin. However, the langoustine, flamed in aquavit with garlic, with tomato sauce, with little onions, with coriander and basil are absolutely fantastic, and so is a brilliant Norwegian cod cooked on the plancha with Mediterranean vegetables and root vegetables like leeks, stuffed tomatoes with oyster sauce. I'm jolly proud of that. So I've got 2 out of 3. I'm very happy indeed. Another aeroplane. Destination Oslo, the capital and largest city and seaport of Norway. The city boasts the usual range of tourist attractions, a busy harbour, yacht marinas, a 14th century fortress, Viking museums, palaces, the Holmenkollen ski jump and the Kon-Tiki raft on which Thor Heyerdahl and his crew sailed from Peru to the South Pacific, and of course the infamous Gustav Wegeland sculptures. But what I really like about the place is the vibrant street life. The restaurants spill out onto the pavement, the bars are open, and the street performers are strutting their stuff. On this hot summer's day with musicians and street entertainers from all over the world, it's hard to believe that you're in Scandinavia and in what we always think of as cold countries. In fact, Scandinavia is a place of such diverse interest and fun, it's quite amazing.
Dad, for Christ's sake, hurry up, man.
I should be really sad to leave it, but I'll be back.
Excellent. First of all, I have prepared some couscous. I need to get rid of this before I can do the rest of my cooking. So, what we're going to try to do today is have a real bit of fun mixing finest Norwegian produce of things like mussels down here and magnificent scallops up here, straight from the Oslo fjord or somewhere nearby, I'm sure, with cooking techniques which come from Spain and from Africa and from Thailand, all here in the centre of Oslo city, which I can tell you is a city that never sleeps. If I'm looking hungover this morning, it's because this lot were partying in the streets until 5:30 this morning, which is odd because alcohol stops being served at 1:30, but never mind, I don't understand these things. So, my pot for the moment. And this is not a commercial plug, but a great friend of mine who I met about 3 seconds ago from the Café France or something up the road gave me a splendid bottle of Crémant Français, a slightly sweet sparkling wine, which is the perfect thing to celebrate this wonderful Norwegian summer day. Now, down here I have the ingredients for the Thai part of my meal. Chopped onions, chopped red and green chilies, essence of tamarind, red Thai curry paste, kaffir lime leaves and garlic. And the first thing we'll do is tip in some onions. And we just soften those onions in oil, but not to brown. It's very important they don't brown. Then we add some red and green chilies, very finely chopped. Now these are quite hot, but this is a hot dish, or at least this part of it is a very hot dish. Right, this is looking good now. Onions and chilies. The next thing is we put in some finely crushed garlic. Again, this mustn't brown and it mustn't burn. Then we put in some red Thai curry paste, like so, quite a lot. Then we put in some coconut milk or coconut cream. This is the base of our lovely smooth sauce. Okay. Then we put in some extract of tamarind, which again you can buy in any kind of Asian store. It's a little sweet and sour bit that goes into there. Extract of tamarind. And then some kaffir lime leaves, dried again from the Asian supermarket. That's the fundamental basis of our Thai coconut cream sauce. Good afternoon, how are you? Excellent. To add real authenticity to the whole thing, we put in a bit of Asian fish sauce, which, if you like, was the Tabasco or the Leon Perrins of the Roman days. Then we put in some fresh Norwegian mussels, like that. And we let those cook away until the mussels open. For my couscous, I have red peppers, sliced almonds, currants, raisins and crystallized pineapple. Put those on there and let them cook away for a second or two. Second phase of the whole thing is to prepare the scallops. A little tiny drop of oil over them.
And we'll pop these onto the plancha. Just for a very, very brief second. In the meantime, we'll put on some nuts. A few raisins. And a few currants. Just to toast those. Now these only need a second, so we'll turn them over right now. As you see, very quickly, the currants, the raisins, and the almonds start to toast. And so now we begin to mix them with the peppers. And we'll bring this over here. Mix that all into the couscous. On top of the couscous, which I'll do up here to make it easier for you, Vlad, we'll place our scallops. We'll also add some mussels. And we'll pour our wonderful Thai sauce around the edge of the dish. And then the ideal herbs for such dishes are things like basil and, of course, coriander. Full fat loving close-up of that. That is Norwegian produce, cooked internationally in Oslo by me, not at all hungover from a dreadful night out last night. Those are scallops. Scallops and couscous and Thai sauce. And mussels.
Mussels. Lovely.
Good man.
Best chef in the world.
Your check's in the post.